Alright guys, this is Chris Kelly with just a quick mobility case study to round out your Friday. So I'm working today with Chris. Chris is a bodybuilder that has been having some left shoulder pain. Okay, so left shoulder pain with things like dips, and then he also comments when he gets his elbows back here. He also experiences pain. Okay, so one of the concepts we were talking about is, three things we were looking at a place at first. Does the area have tension in it? Okay, does it have the range of motion to do what it needs to do? And then does it have the control to do what it needs to do? Okay, and so we foam roll and we stretch and we do all these things, but like what is needed per se? All right, so for Chris, and I'll give you an example. So for him, if we look at his shoulders, okay, so let's look at his left shoulder here. Okay, what we want to be able to kind of get our arms behind us in a dip position, to be able to get our elbows close together and get our arms behind our body. So if we look at this motion for him, okay, this is about as much internal rotation as he's got. Okay, so really when he gets his arms behind him, he has to stay out here. He doesn't have the ability to get in. Like the joint just won't do that. All right, so let me give you an example of what that looks like. Chris, let's come in a dip position here on the step. Okay, so if we look at Chris doing his dip, okay, do a couple, you can see that, okay, I'll try to get your elbows in. No courage, right? He just can't do it because we just don't have that range of motion. So imagine doing that over 20 reps, 30 reps, 40 reps, 50 reps, because we don't have control, the joint doesn't move well, bones and joints rub together, and actually, we start to get fraying and tearing of ligaments and things like that. So really that in the gym is kind of how injuries occur all the time. We just don't have a certain range of motion, we feel tension, we do nothing about it, injuries occur. Okay, so for us what we have to do is twofold. We have to release some tension around the joint itself, and then we have to regain some range of motion around the joint. So let's talk about how we do it. Okay, so for Chris specifically, we could roll all of the muscles of his upper body, and that's kind of a good general approach. What we're going to do is focus on two areas. We're going to focus on his lats. We're also going to focus on his thoracic spine, just because those are the two areas that are kind of his shell. Before I start to crank in the shoulder, I really want to make sure that these areas have enough mobility to do what they need to do, so then we can start to kind of address the shoulder itself. All right, so now, Chris, we're going to roll your upper body. Okay, we're going to roll your lats real quick. I know you know how to do that. So let's just do about 5 to 10 passes on each side there. So we're just working on the areas that kind of have tension. We'll release a little bit. We obviously want to know, do you feel tension as you do that? Yep. All right, let's hit the other side. Obviously we don't want to look like pop by one side, so we do both sides. But the point with this is that, again, we want to release the muscles that are directly responsible for internal rotation and kind of restrain, as a result, internal rotation. When he has more range of motion, or when he has less tension here, it stands to reason that he's going to be able to get into ranges of motion better. Okay? So this is thing one. Now, does it hurt more on one side versus the other? More on the left side? Okay, so the lat, which we're rolling right now, and sort of the teres major, that area, major internal rotator. So rolling that is going to again help a little bit. Now, this next one, Chris, we're going to use a tool called a peanut that we've used in the past. With the peanut, what we're going to have Chris do is we're going to put it right behind the thoracic spine. Okay, we're going to do extensions over it. Okay, just kind of move up vertebrae by vertebrae. So we're going to start in the needle back, move up to kind of his clavicle, just kind of give each segment a little bit of a nice mobilization. You could say that we're doing a bit of joint distraction there to just a minimal degree. We're also doing the erectors and nice massage. Okay, so we're going to put that right behind your middle back there, man. Kind of right at the start of where the thoracogeminal junction meets. Okay, now for this one, all I'm going to instruct Chris to do is just do slight extensions over his back. Okay, he's not doing a crunch, he's just doing enough to kind of fulcrum over that area. Okay, bend your knees a little bit here, Chris. Good. All right, so he's going to bend his knees. That's just going to give him a little bit of support. Okay, and what I'm going to have him do is just about 5 in each segment. Okay, as part of his home program, if he finds kind of like one spot that feels stuck down, then we'll focus a little bit more on that spot. But for now, we're just going to make some quick passes. Do you find one spot that kind of in particular is bothering you or whatever? But is it lower spine or upper spine? Lower? Okay, keep going. passes over there. And now, you know, and another big part of this is, you know, oftentimes sort of one area versus another will be more supple, and as a result we'll get some pulling and more fraying. Usually what happens is when one segment is doing more work because other segments are not contributing as well, you know, then we start to get sort of, you know, we start to get pain in that particular area. Not necessarily this issue, but it could be potentially. Good. We're just going to get that last spot here. Cool. All right, so now we're going to take that out of there. We're going to do a drill to just work on just opening up the thoracic spine a little bit. And when we're talking about just mobility generally, one of the big concepts is you want to teach the person to move only from that area. So the rest of the body is stiffened up. We're also breathing to ensure that we're using our core. Okay, so this next one is called a rib roll, and I'm going to demonstrate this one. We're just going to have the person do 5 by each side. Okay, so for rib roll, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a foam roller here, and I'm just going to put one leg on the foam roller. So I'm pressing down into this area. It's helping me to feel my core here. All right, I'm going to segment myself a little bit this way so you can see me. I'm going to take a deep breath in. Come into this in range. Just take another deep breath here. So take a deep breath. I'm just trying to drop down a little bit more. We're just going to be free from there. So tense up. Come into this in range. Deep breath in. Try to just relax and move a little bit. Just make sure we're getting the pull from up here versus anywhere else. Okay? So Chris, let's get you into this position now. All right, so I'm coaching him along here. Again, with this one, I want to make sure that he has his leg pressed into this area. Kind of turn so you can see him a little bit more here. Okay. Now, his hand's going to be here. All right. Now, what I want you to do, you're going to just kind of tense your body, just tense your body everywhere. But make sure where you're rolling. Take your head up well. Now take a deep breath in, and just relax. Good. One more time. Deep breath in. Just try to get down just a little bit more. Good. Back. The diaphragm is connected to the rib cage, so breathing in this instance is very important. All right, so again, rotate from this area, tense up everywhere else. Deep breath in, exhale, drop down. One more time, deep breath in, exhale, drop down. Very good. All right, one more time. All right, rotate. Just breathe. Deep breath in, exhale. One more time, deep breath in. Exhale. Okay, good. All right, to the other side. This exercise as well is really good just sort of as a pre-workout upper body kind of relaxation thing. You know, anybody that is doing dips or something where they have to get their arms in extreme range of motion, we want to make sure that we open up the ribs and the thoracic spine as much as possible so we can get some control and mobility there. Okay, so for this one, same idea. Okay, we're going to have you press in the lower, deep breath in. Exhale, just rotate this way. Exhale, good. I'll let you do the last two on your own. We're just going to turn the camera so you can see it a little bit more. Good, bring it back. Last one. Try to get a little bit farther with this last one, Chris. Just going to take a deep breath in. Exhale, just let it drop down. Deep breath in. Exhale, let it drop down. Excellent. All right, now, okay, so we worked on, and with that we worked on a lot. Okay, we worked on releasing tension around those affected areas. We worked on proximal control. Okay, opening up his rib cage with breathing. Okay, that's going to account for a lot of maybe some neuromuscular inhibition or whatever that he has. Now we're going to work on restoring range of motion in the shoulders. Before we do that, let's look at his shoulder range of motion again. In some cases, if it's not a true restriction, you know, we reposition the thoracic spine a little bit better. We'll have restored a lot of his internal rotation. We don't need to worry about the shoulder, but if it is, then you know we work on gaining mobility back. Okay, so sit up. Let's just sit up. You're not standing. Let's just check your move a little bit closer this way. So in the frame here. All right. Let's do this one. Wow. And actually, we regained a lot of range of motion there. Moves a lot better. All right, so let's look at the other side here. Okay. Cool. All right, so in Chris's case, okay, your repositioning his back a little bit made a huge difference. But what we're going to do is I'm going to just show you a quick way that we can regain range of motion if it is truly a shoulder internal rotation problem. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have Chris lie in what is called a sleeper stretch. Okay, there have been a lot of controversy over this stretch in the last couple of years. You know, sleeper stretches. Some people like them, some people don't. We're going to do them a little bit differently. Okay, in that what we're going to have him do is he's just going to stretch to the point where he starts to feel just a light pull. Normally we would hold this for 2 minutes, okay? This is called a pale rail, which I learned from a guy named Dr. Andrea Sabina, functional range conditioning. Go to learn everything that he's taught you, or that he teaches. But we start in this range of motion here. We just, again, hold the stretch. And then I'm just going to start to ramp up the contraction. I'm going to start to try to push my shoulder into external rotation and ramp up from 20%, 40%, 60%, 80%, 100%, okay? I'm just squeezing as much as I can. And holding for 10 seconds. I'm letting it go. And then I'm just moving. I'm using my muscles to pull me into the newly acquired range of motion. Okay? And this is, with this, it's like, we kind of take traditional keynote stretching and we're using active control to build control in ranges of motion. So not only are we gaining flexibility, but we're gaining the ability to use it, which is important. So now, just as a quick demonstration, obviously I'm not going to have Chris hold for 2 minutes, but we are going to have him just kind of demonstrate here. So Chris, let's get in position here, man. Okay, and again, coaching for all of this stuff is really important. A lot of people will just crank themselves into range of motion that maybe they don't have, or arch their back or whatever. So with this one, I want him to tense his core. Okay, I want you to just, I'm going to help him with this range of motion. Like, that's where kind of I feel the first stopping point. And I want his stretch to be like a 3 out of 10. I don't want to be crazy, especially when we're working with a point capsule. Okay, so now put your hands behind this. You should feel just a slight stretch. All right, so now Chris would hold here for 2 minutes. Now, I want you to start to push in the back of your hands about 20%, 40%, 60%, 80%, 100%. Start your kick. 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let it go. Okay, now gently try to pull yourself in further range of motion with the muscle. Okay. The other way you can hold for about, again, 5 to 10 seconds, and then you just hold here again. Okay. And generally we're going to repeat that 2 to 3 times, okay? But once we've done that, okay, then we can start to reinforce range of motion, kind of work on control. And these are things that we can get into in, in future videos. But let's retest Chris's dip. Let's see if it got better. If it did, that allows us to know, we've made a positive change, and we can kind of continue with this school of thought. All right. So let's take a look at this, Chris. Let's get you in a dip position. All right. Our goal. We know that keeping your elbows out is going to create pain for you, so I want you to try to tuck your elbows in that dip. Maybe spread your hands just a little bit wider as well. Good. All right. Okay, let's see if elbows in a little bit more. Better? Yeah, excellent. Okay, so, and again, that's just the first piece of the puzzle. But what are some conclusions that we can take from this? Number one, we don't necessarily want to tell somebody to stop doing everything that they're doing. I mean, Chris is a bodybuilder. Traditionally, if you were to go maybe to a PT, they would say, stop doing dips forever. And we don't necessarily want to tell him to stop forever because he loves that stuff, right? So we want to look at the reasons why he can't do it and then rebuild those ranges of motion so when he gets into them, not only does he have access to them, but he has control of them actively, okay? That's important, and then from there we can talk about strengthening it in range and things of that nature. But that's kind of just a quick case study. I ran rather long in this video. Hopefully this gave you some ideas of things that you can use in your own practice. Good luck with that and have fun.